Are you blogging? Can people call you a blogger? And if you answered no, why not? Well, I've got somebody really special today for the Monday Marketing Summit series who's going to teach you all about blogging. She's my business bestie. We've done a lot of different programs together, and we actually started out collaborating together talking about blogging and your website. So you're going to really love what she has to present to you today. She is coming from the Online Business Success Summit, and she's talking about how to use blogging to generate leads and grow your business. Hey there, I'm Carol J. Dunlop, the online wow strategist and 5-time best-selling author, and this is Monday Marketing Summit series, where I take one video out of the 4 different summits that I've done and present it to you as a learning experience so you can use this in your business marketing. Let's go. And don't forget to click that swag link. Hey everyone, this is Carol Dunlop again, and welcome back to another awesome presentation for the Online Business Success Summit. I'm so glad you're here, that you're taking time out of your busy day. You know, as entrepreneurs, small business owners, and people who are just working, it's hard to get some time off. So I'm glad you're taking this time to do something for you. I have a very special guest coming up. Nadine is going to come up and talk to us about blogging. One of my favorite topics. So without any further ado, let's bring Nadine on. Hey, Nadine, what's up?
Hello, awesome entrepreneurs, small business owners, hustlers out there.
That's right. Hustlers for real. Hustlers. So glad to have you on board, Nadine. So we're going to get right into it because I don't like to play around. People come for content. So why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to the audience and tell us what you're going to be talking about, and let's get going.
Sure, definitely. So I am Nadine Mullings, and I am known as the B.E.S.T marketing strategist, and that's an acronym. It actually stands for the 4 strategies that I teach my clients on how to build their business. So the B is for blogging, the E is for email, S is for social media, and T is for text message marketing. So I teach my clients 4 strategies on how to grow their business. And I actually worked in corporate America for about 15 years doing marketing and promoting for a financial institution. And
no way, did you start when you were 9?
I know, right? Thanks for saying that. Yeah, definitely.
Oh, 15 years, really? I'm sorry. Really, I had to get my head around that. You do not look like that at all. No way.
Thank you. I'll keep my age a secret.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no worries. So I know I always had the entrepreneurial spirit. I had it in me from a very young age, but I kind of just took that traditional path, go to college, get a degree, get a corporate job, hope for the corner office and the corporate car. You know, that was my dream. And then I realized, well, no, that's not really my dream. I want to start my own business from scratch and make a difference in the world. So I took the entrepreneurial leap about 5 years ago. I actually was laid off from my corporate job in a financial institution, and I took that as a blessing. Most people, when they're laid off, they're like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? But I was like, God, I hear you. This is the sign. It's time. So, you know, a lot of times in corporate America, we can get comfortable. You know, you're comfortable with the people that you work with, you make decent money, so you just kind of go along with the flow for years. And then something has to jolt you out and make you take that leap of faith. So I really look at my layoff as a blessing. So I took that leap of faith and I started my own marketing agency about 5 years ago now. And you know, just like anything else in life, it has evolved over time. You know, I'm very honest that I struggled. I struggled a lot in the first few years, as most of us entrepreneurs and business owners can relate to. It's not easy. This journey is not easy, and it's not for everyone. But in that struggle, I learned lessons. I think we all learn our lessons in our struggle. It's not really necessarily our successes, but our struggles that we learn lessons from. So in that struggle, I really came up with the formula of B.E.S.T, the blogging, email, social media, and text, and realized if I just consistently did these things in my business, I'm building an audience. And once I'm building an audience, then I'm building clients and I'm getting leads. And so it kind of just fell in place that I created this B.E.S.T system and then became known as the B.E.S.T marketing strategist.
All right.
So,
now.
Yeah. So that's
a tag on it.
That's right. So that's kind of how I came to be, the best marketing strategist and where I'm at today. And I'm really super excited to share with your audience about how to use blogging, which is the first piece of B.E.S.T in their marketing strategy to grow their business. So, when it comes to business, I've heard people say, blogging is dead. Maybe 10, 15 years ago, blogging was a good thing to do for your business. But I so disagree with that. Blogging is very much still alive and can really help you grow your platform online. If you ever desire to have an online business or use online to amplify your business and get more sales, then I feel blogging should be a piece of that pie.
I agree with you. I definitely agree. So now, what kind of blog do you suggest that business owners start out with? And you made a good point about whether your blog is a business,
right,
or you're using a blog to amplify your business, you still need it. So how do you suggest for them to get started?
Sure. So a lot of people get confused when it comes to blogging and feel that it has to be the written word. So back in the day when blogging first started, it actually starts for web log, and and they combined it and called it a blog. So that's how blog started. And it was people writing kind of like a journal online. So that's why blogs are known as the written word. So most people think of, I'm not a writer. I don't know how to start a blog. But blogging has really evolved, and I kind of lump all forms of blogging into the one word blog. So if you're going to do a written blog where it's a written word, or maybe you can do video. That's some people call that a vlog, but I just call it a video blog. So if you're going to do video, that's content you can put on your blog. Audio, a lot of people are doing podcasts now. That's still, in my book, a form of blogging. As long as you're putting it on your website and you're not just housing it on like iTunes or one of those stations, but you have it on your website, you house it under your blog. So it's not limited to just the written word. Find out what you feel comfortable with. If it's not just the written word, but you feel more comfortable in front of the camera, or maybe you feel more comfortable with audio. Sometimes people don't want to get up and put makeup on and be in front of the screen. So audio works just as well. They don't have to see your face, but they get to know your voice, and it makes it more personable. And the other side of that is you can mix it up. Maybe 1 week you do the written word. The next week you put out a video. The next week you do an audio. Somebody that does that really well is Michael Hyatt. Some of your viewers may be familiar with Michael Hyatt, and he mixes up his blog. I follow him on email, and 1 week it will be a written blog. The next week it's his audio podcast, and then sometimes he mixes video up in there. So you really have to figure out what works best for you and for your business and start your blog.
Now, what about those micro blogs like Tumblr? And we used to have another couple of things, but I think they went by the wayside. We don't have them so much,
Exactly.
What about something like that?
Microblogging is excellent. In fact, a major social media platform, Twitter, is considered a microblog. You're just limited to 140 characters, but you're getting your word and your information out there. So microblogs are really just considered condensed information. So in the example of Twitter that I gave, you can put your information out in 140 characters and you reach your audience that way. So that's considered microblogging. And there's all different. Twitter's probably the biggest platform out there, but there's other ones like you mentioned, like Tumblr. But definitely, I always recommend housing your content on your website.
Exactly.
You want to use social media and other platforms to amplify your message and get it out to a larger audience, but you want to house your information on your website. I kind of always tell my clients that is the core. Think of it as like the living room in your house. So you don't want to have your living room somewhere else. You want your living room in your house. And then, you go out to the parties like the Twitters and the Facebook and spread your content. But always remember to keep your living room straight.
Always come back home.
Always come back home. Yes,
you
definitely.
have to stay at home. So how do you suggest that the ordinary business owner who's looking at this right now, they may have just started their business, or they may be, like some of you out there I know have been in business 3, 4, 5 years and you still haven't started blogging.
Right.
So we're going to get you on track today. What you got for us on that note?
Yeah, so the first thing I'd say is I always like to use C's. So there's always like some C's that I throw out there. The first C I'm going to throw out there is commitment. You're never going to accomplish anything in life unless you commit to it. So the first step is you have to commit to your blog. You have to commit to saying, I'm going to do this. I recommend a good start is every other week. I've heard many statistics of how often you should blog, from daily blogs to twice a week to 3 times a week. But we're all busy. We're busy entrepreneurs and business owners. And what can realistically fit into someone's schedule is biweekly. At least initially, until you get comfortable. So the first C is commit. Commit to doing your blog. Then the second C is content. So now you have to decide, what content do I want to put out there to the world? And it has to relate to your business, because your content needs to supplement what you do. So think about the content. For example, if you have a marketing agency like we do, we want to make sure that our content is related to marketing. There's thousands of ways that you can market your business. So what's going to be your specialty? What's going to be your expertise? And that should be the topics that you concentrate on your blog. So think about your content. Another piece with content will be your content calendar, because a lot of times we have stuff in our head and we think, oh yeah, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. But amazing things happen when you put it on paper. So with my clients, I go through a content calendar with them. Okay, this month, what is the topic you're going to concentrate on? Okay, if you're doing a bi-weekly blog, the first blog, what is that topic going to be? The second blog, what is that topic going to be? How does that relate to your overall umbrella of your blog? So the second C would definitely be content. And then the third C, I would say, is consistency. Because a lot of times people will start a blog with all intentions, great commitments, and they have awesome content, because we're all experts in our field. So we have content, but then they actually fall off, and they're not being consistent. So
and then they wonder why no one's coming to the blog.
Yes.
Why? Nothing happening?
Blogging doesn't work. The blogging doesn't work. It doesn't work. But the reality is, any form of marketing that you do, you have to do it for at least 6 to 12 months before you're going to see results. That's a long tail of marketing. That is, and blogging is a long tail marketing strategy. It's the turtle versus the hare. So this is a turtle strategy. So you have to do it consistently over time. So if you are starting off initially with twice a month or bi-weekly, whatever the case may be, you have to do it consistently for 6 to 12 months. It's not a magic bullet overnight. And, again, you have to schedule it in your calendar so you can stay consistent. So the third C would definitely be consistency. So you have to think about that. Number one, be committed. Blogging is going to help your business. It helps you to be an authority. It helps you to be an expert. It showcases your expertise. So be committed to blogging for your business, whether that's a video blog, whether it's a written blog, whether it's an audio blog, whatever you decide works best for you. And then what's the content going to be? You want to create really good content for your audience. So that second C is that content, and making sure that your content is good, and creating that content calendar. And then, as I mentioned, the third C is just being consistent. Stick with it. It's a long-term marketing strategy. You're a turtle, not a hare. Because I think a lot of times we get hyped up about the hare strategies, like the launches, do a launch and then you can get, all these great clients. But after the launch is done, you don't want crickets. You want to still be providing awesome content to your audience. And a blog is the way that you do that. And a blog actually helps you with your launch. So if you're giving that consistent content over time, when it's time for you to launch something, people will pay attention because you've been giving them value for a while. But what I find a lot of people do is they just want to launch their course or launch this, and they never gave any consistent content throughout the year. And they expect people to know who they are, follow them, and buy their stuff.
And that's where it gets a little bit sticky, because people have to know, like, and trust you before they buy from you.
Definitely.
And even if you've just been on social media, just posting just putting inspirational pictures, just, putting little things up like that, they still don't really know you enough to actually spend money. Now, they might like your post, they might comment on something, they might even follow you. But to spend money, that's a whole different thing. And I think that you can't accomplish that type of intimacy with a potential client or ideal prospect, as I like to call them, unless you really have given pieces of yourself. And you really can't give pieces of yourself on social media because number one, no one's going to see it.
Exactly. Yeah, definitely. Social media is busy and it goes super, super fast. But if someone truly is engaged in you, your content, your brand, and they follow your blog or they're on your email list and you put out your blog information to your email list, then they will recognize you as an authority and as an expert. And it's much easier for you to sell your course, sell your product when they recognize you as being knowledgeable and as an expert because they've read your content or listened to your content or viewed your content over a period of time.
Exactly. Now, Nadine, when you get with someone, what do you tell them? I mean, how do you help them set this up? It's good to say, well, you can do this, you can do that, but I'm sure that a lot of people that come to you say, I don't even know what you're talking about. I have no idea. What's the audio? A blog, writing. I'm not a writer. So what do you do with those people?
I meet them where they're at. That's number one. You got to meet people where they're at. So we kind of sit down and we talk about, well, what do you know technology wise? Number one, do you have a website? That will be the first question because your blog is attached or should be attached to your website. So you actually have two options when it comes to blogging. You can have a blog that's on your website, which is the way that I always recommend to my clients, or you can blog on a different website. So a good example for that would be WordPress.com versus WordPress.org. So WordPress.com was built as a site for bloggers initially. So you can actually have a free blog and go on WordPress.com and get that. However, WordPress.org allows you to download the WordPress software and have that blog on your site. And that is what I definitely recommend. So the first step is you have to have a website, and that website needs to include having a blogging piece to it. And even if it's not WordPress, if it's Weebly, Wix, Squarespace, there's tons of them out there. Most of them have blogging option on there. So make sure, number one, you have a website. If you don't have a website, then I would recommend that you talk to a website person before you talk to me because you're not far along in your business enough to use blogging as a strategy. So I always recommend get your website first, and then once you have a website, and you can do it together. It's not like saying you build a website and then 3 months later you do the blog. You can actually create your website and your blog. And so it's basically, to answer your question, start with where they're at. We first decide, okay, you have a website, you've had a blog, maybe you used to blog in the past and then it went to the blog graveyard and you want to pick it up again.
The blog graveyard. I like that.
The blog graveyard definitely exists. Trust me, there's a lot of blogs in the blog graveyard. So, it really just depends on where that business owner is. And then we talk about what's the next step for you based on where you're at. And the technology is not hard. The amazing thing about 2016 is that it's so easy now for, back in the days when people used to blog, sometimes you have to know HTML or coding. Now it's super easy. It's just like you click a button and you publish to the world,
Exactly.
Yeah.
What do you think about those sites like, for instance, and I know these are good sites, so I'm not putting them down, Medium and LinkedIn Pulse, where you can blog. What do you think about those?
I think those are great to amplify. Again, it's more of anything off your website is an amplification tool. So you can use those things to amplify your messages. So I definitely recommend, once you create your blog plan, a part of your blog plan is how are you going to promote it? And I usually go with my clients and we go through the steps of the different ways that you can publish it, whether it's LinkedIn posts, Medium, social media sites, but you have to have a strategy around it it, because similar to writing a book, the work is really in the promotion of it. It's
Yes.
not just about writing that awesome blog post
You
or
are so
writing
right.
that
Oh my God.
awesome book, but if nobody reads it and it's crickets, you wasted your
Mhm.
time and your effort. So promotion is a huge part of promoting your blog post, similar to promoting a book. So you have to have a promotion strategy, which is what you teach with social media strategy for promoting your book. The same thing with every single blog post. You have to have a set strategy of how you're going to get the word out there. Anything off of your website is amplification.
Wait a minute. You mean that I can't just do a blog post, hit publish, and leave it alone, and 100,000 people aren't going to just come to it and find it? Come on.
Yeah, no, sorry. It doesn't work like that. Maybe back in the days you would have gotten some traction, but nowadays you have to promote it. You have to get the word out there about your blog posts. And to kind of back up a little bit, I do want to talk a little bit about the psychology of blogging.
Yes. Okay. Yes.
I feel like a lot of people get stuck, when it comes to their blog, because they feel like it has to be perfect, or they have to have the right, if they're doing a video, the lighting has to be exactly right, or the audio it really is about the content at the end of the day. And we have to push past that fear of perfectionism and move forward with it. Because I see a lot of my clients and individuals get stuck because they're like, oh, I'm not ready, or I'm scared to push the publish button because I don't want to put it out to the world. Get over that fear, people. You have a message, and the only way people are going to hear your message is if you push that publish button. So I just really wanted to bring that home to your audience. If you do have individuals out there that have a fear of pushing the publish button because it's not perfect, you have to get over the fear, because there are people waiting for your message, and until you hit the publish button, they're not going to get your message. So at the end of the day, it's really not about you. I'm the same way. It's like, I don't really do a lot of like Facebook lives or Periscope because I'm like a perfectionist. It's like, oh no, I don't want to put it out there. But and one of the things I plan to do for next year is get over that fear, because I have a message, and there are actually people that are assigned to you to hear your message so they can make their life better. So you're being selfish when you think of being a perfectionist and saying, oh, my blog has to be perfect. I have to have the right pretty picture. I have to say the right words. The grammar has to be perfect. We love pretty pictures and we love grammar. But at the end of the day, your followers are going to love your content and the authenticity of your voice. And they can feel your voice, whether it's the written word, the audio, or the video. They're going to resonate with you when you're authentic. So push that publish button, and get that information out there to your audience, for real.
I'm glad that you said that, because really people do suffer with that. I can't push the button, I can't put it out there, it's not ready, it's not finished. But the thing is, how will you know, how will you get better until you push that button and put it out there? Okay, so you put out a bad blog, or a blog that's not so good, or you have a misspelled word, oh my God, or maybe you put 2 periods at the end of a sentence. It's okay, you're going to get better. I mean, I bet you can count how many times you get some piece of email from some big guru like Michael Hyatt, and it comes out and it says first name, and then there's sentence thing. They're like, oops, I didn't mean for that to come out. I mean, mistakes happen. Nobody is perfect. So we're all learning. And besides, you have to think about this. Everybody started out where we are, or where you are. Everybody started out with, I've never done this before. I don't even know what this feels like. And now, because they're so polished and they look so great, and they can just walk on stage or get on the video or whatever, and always look like they just roll out of bed that way, that doesn't mean they were always that way at all.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. I love that quote. They say every expert was once a beginner.
Yes.
And that is so true, that quote, that every expert was once a beginner. So we all have to start from somewhere, and we just look back at the old footage and think, oh, that was horrible. But you started, you started. So I really think that psychology piece of just getting over it and hitting the publish button is so important for people to realize. And, as they're listening to this, whether it's, the beginning of the year or they hear it later down the road, I really encourage you to put your work out there, hit the publish button and put the work out there, because your message needs to be heard.
That is true. Everybody's message needs to be heard because there are some people that are waiting for you to tell it.
Yeah,
Tell your story. Put yourself
exactly.
out there. Now,
Yes.
what are some tools that you could suggest for the people to use who want to blog and they say, I just can't write. Even though you say, you can use the audio or stuff like this. How do you help your clients get over that hump about actually doing it?
To be honest, you just have to get started.
Ooh, yeah.
You have to get started. It's the word act. Action changes things.
Yeah.
If you just get caught in your head and say, oh, I'm not a good writer, oh, my voice sounds terrible, oh, I don't look good on camera, you're going to be stuck in your head,
Yeah.
So action changes everything. Act is what I tell my clients, and you will learn. Like we just said before, you will learn. But some amazing tools out there. If you're doing a written blog, one of the key things about blogging in general is going to be your headline. Your headline is just like a newspaper. When you pick up a newspaper and you read, well, nowadays people don't really pick up newspapers as much, but if
they
you look
read still, they still
read.
Yeah.
And, if you're on social media and someone shares an article or whatever, it's usually the headline that catches your attention. Yeah. So CoSchedule has a free tool called Headline Analyzer. And you can go to coschedule.com. So whenever you're working on different headlines for your blog, you can plug in your headline into the Headline Analyzer and it will give it a score. So it will say, oh, this scored a 70. And it will even give you tips on how to improve on your headline, like use more powerful words or action words.
Right.
So a tool, if you want an actual tool that can help people in the whole creative process and creating headlines, I would definitely recommend CoSchedule's Headline Analyzer as a tool. And CoSchedule in general, because it allows you to also create a content calendar. CoSchedule is a content calendar tool. And as we talked about in the 3 C's earlier, content is one of the C's. So it can help you be organized. You can even use a basic Google Calendar, but CoSchedule plugs in with WordPress if you're on a WordPress site. So it makes it really easy to see your blog posts or schedule your blog posts through the CoSchedule calendar.
And just look at them. I've used it before and it's really, really cool. They also have what's that other plugin? Click to Tweet.
That's a free one. That's a good one too.
Yeah. I love that one. That one is so cool. I mean, I love all these little gadgets and things that you can use that make it interesting.
Easier. Yeah, make it easier.
You have to do that because it's not just just think of yourself. If you're reading a long page of text and there's nothing there, is that interesting to you or not?
Right.
Even if you put your podcast in the middle, you want to have something interesting. It needs to be interesting. That's the way that I think you can attract people. That's the way you make them sticky so that they don't leave your blog. So all those too many cutesy things. Yeah, I don't like things like flying across the screen and all that when I'm trying to read, but things that just break up those blocks of text. That'll be good. Now, you were talking before when we got on, we were talking about how if you're going to have a book, you need a blog.
Yeah.
So let's go into that a little bit since I am just releasing my book in March. So happy about that.
Yeah. So a book and blog really go hand in hand. So you can look at it one way as if you've already created your book and published it and it's out there in the world, you have awesome content.
Yes.
And not everyone is going to pick up your book or read your book. So how can you take pieces of the content from your book and create blog posts out of them? So what I recommend is, whether it's a chapter or a section of your book that you can do a blog post like every 2 weeks. And at the end, you can, at the end of the blog post, which is another thing I wanted to mention, is having calls to action at the end of the blog post.
Yes.
And the call to action at the end of your blog post, if you're an author, is to purchase your book so they can get the full story, because the blog post is just a tiny, tiny piece of the information that you have to share. So that's why I say it really goes hand in hand. So really using blogging as a promotional tool for your book as an author is a great way, because if they're reading that blog post and that content is coming from your book, they're probably going to be interested in learning more and taking a deep dive. So at the end of the blog post, your call to action is read more, and then have a link to your book on Amazon, have a link to your book wherever you have it online or however they can purchase it. So that's why I say if you have a book, you should have a blog. And then the reverse goes true too. If you have a blog, you've created awesome content, and you've probably done that. If you followed the third C consistently, you have probably have a lot of that awesome content over time. So you actually have the beginnings of a book, you know. So why not sit back and look at what you've already created on this blog and think about publishing it, polishing it, and making it an actual book that you can sell and have another revenue stream, and makes you look like an authority or an expert in your field. So that's why I say blogging and I was going to say blogging and booking, but that's not.
But that's good. You calling something new.
Yeah, blogging and booking go hand in hand.
They do, and you brought up something. You brought up something really good, and I wanted to point that out about you're taking your blog and turn it into a book.
Right.
Now, you can't just take the actual blog post and stick them between some pages and call it a book. Yeah. You do have to do like Nadine said, you have to polish it. You have to massage it. You have to, work with it some, because that's what happened with my book. I had, I've been in this business for 20 years. I've had a blog for going on at least 10 years. So I had some good content on there. So I was able to take a lot of that content and pieces of it and put it into the book, because when I got stuck on different things, I'll be like, oh, I wrote a blog post on that. So I go look at a blog post, take those pieces and create the rest of the chapter around it. And it gave me a good jump start. So I love that you said that. And everyone, do not underestimate the power of your blog. I actually had, there was a lady that I worked with, a client I worked with. This must have been like 10 years ago, I think. And she actually blogged her whole entire book. It took her, I want to say a few months. Every blog post she did was a piece of a chapter or something. And then she took all the blogs down, created it into a book, and sold it.
Yeah, no, that is awesome. That's why I say it really goes hand in hand, and having that information, I think the biggest difference between your book and your blog is your book is more cohesive and tells a story and has more of a rhythm, where the blog is more like separate, like piece. But the book is cohesive and tells a beautiful story at the end of it. But they definitely can go hand in hand in helping to write one or the other.
Most definitely. Any more golden nuggets for us?
Real quick. If you're doing a written blog, I also recommend having a nice graphic, especially with sites like Pinterest around, where people are pinning awesome graphics. So, depending on your brand, finding the right images that make sense for your brand. There's lots of websites you can use if you want to use stock images. There's like istock.com, Shutterstock. There's tons of great image sites. There's even some free image sites. So one thing that I wanted to make sure that people are aware of is to pay attention to how it looks too, because people are very visual. So sometimes pictures really help. So making sure you have the right pictures in place. And sometimes, depending on your brand, if you're not really a picture person, just creating an image that has the blog title in it and using that in the blog helps to make it a little bit more visual than just text. So making sure that you have that great headline, have a nice image, have good content. The meat of the blog is really your content. So whether it's text, whether it's video, whether it's audio, just make sure it's good. You're giving people a lot of good value and information. And then the last nugget that I would like to share is the end of it is just the call to action. You don't want to do all that work and have a great headline, a nice image, and awesome content, and you're not instructing people what to do next to work with you. So I always recommend with my clients at the end of the blog post, what is your call to action? What is the next step that you want this reader to do? So this reader can change into a lead, and then your lead changes eventually to a client. So most of the time, a general way would be joining your email list through some type of download or offer that's related to the blog post. That's an easy way to have a call to action. But just really think about what's going to make sense call to action wise at the end of your blog post, and make it specific, not general. Because a lot of times you see stuff like join my email list. You know,
Right.
back in the day, I was guilty of that. I might have some join my email list on my website right now, but you need to make it more specific. So if someone clicked on top 5 ways to build your business using social media, at the end of the blog post, maybe you have a social media checklist. So they have to join your email list in order to get the social media checklist. The good thing about that, you know the person's interested in social media. Now they've joined email list. When you have a social media offer down the road, you have your ideal client already on your email list.
Right.
So the call to action is very important. So those will be the things that I would want people to take away. Remember your headline, super important to get people to click. Make it visually appealing. Have some type of images or something with your title that looks nice. Provide great content and value, and have a call to action at the end of it.
I like that. I have one more question. I know we're getting close to the end of time, but you had mentioned the promotion, and I want to give people, I know you have a goodie for them, but I want to give people, like, what would you say would be your quickest, easiest strategy for promoting your blog post once you get finished with it?
Social media.
Ooh, yeah.
So the S in the best marketing strategist is social media. And to be honest, they kind of all go hand to hand. Blogging, email, social, and text is kind of like a string. So social media is a great way to amplify your message. One tip I'll give on social media is that a lot of times people will do a blog post and they promote it on social media once or twice. You have to promote it again and again and again. Not to annoyance. You have to have a strategy on how you repurpose that content and promote it over again. But you're going to get more exposure by posting it on social media more than once. And there's a way to do it and a way not to do it. So my biggest thing would be use social media to amplify your blog post. And that will be my number one way of getting the message out there and getting more people to your blog.
Oh, I love that. And that would be my exact advice also. So I'm glad. See,
we're on the same page.
Yes, we're on the same page. So I know you have a goodie for our audience. What is it, pray tell?
Yes, so I have an awesome goodie for your audience, and it's all about how you create an awesome blog post. So it is a blog post checklist. So I did talk about a few of the things today about your headline, your body, your call to action. But what I would love to provide your audience is a specific checklist. So when they create their blog post, they can go through the checklist and know that they've covered all their main points of their blog post. So what I'd love to provide is an awesome blog post checklist.
Awesome.
And they can actually click on the link below.
Okay.
And when you click on the link below, that will direct you to the awesome blog post checklist.
Well, I love it. Nadine, thank you so much. It's so refreshing to talk to someone who knows what they're talking about and who kind of echoes the stuff that I've been telling people. So you guys know that, hey, I've been telling you the right stuff all along. So look, I got somebody else who's saying it.
Sometimes people need to hear it from more than one source, right? So
yeah. And different ways. You know, I may not be the right person for someone, but you might be, and it could be vice versa. So I'm giving you the ways to get it done. Whatever you need done, we're going to help you get it done. So thank you so much for joining me.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you so much for inviting me and giving me the opportunity to be involved. So I thank you for having this platform and allowing me to be on it.
Awesome. It was great information too. Well, hey guys, it's done. This is the end of another great presentation. So glad that you were here. I know you got a lot of value out of this, didn't you? Yes, I see you shaking your head. Yes, it was great, right? So I want you to stay tuned for the next presentation. This is Carol Dunlop signing off. See you next time. Hey, welcome back. Did you enjoy that? Isn't Nadine awesome? And didn't you learn a lot about blogging and how you can use it in your business to grow your business, get those leads? Oh, yes, I love it. And if, like I said in the beginning, if you're not blogging, you should start doing it now because Google loves blogs. Don't forget about watching the video from Dr. Tiana where she talks about self-care, the new currency for business success. So go ahead and click on that. And while you're thinking about what to blog and all of that, you can watch this video and make sure you're taking care of yourself first. Because if you don't, your business will not survive. All right, see you next time.